Hello and welcome back to That Man's Merchandise. Thank you for coming, and today we're going to talk about Goblin Slayer. Now this is the light novel by Yen Press, and I thought since the anime is due out, I think it's the 7th it starts, as of recording it is the 5th, so whether or not this will be out before or after is another story. And I thought since the anime is due out, I thought we'll talk about this. Now, because I don't want to get too much into it, which is why I'm doing 2 volumes. I read the first volume at the start of the year, and then I picked up volume 4 because for some reason Amazon had volume 4 of the light novel down to like £3 or £4, and I was just like, brilliant, I'll get that. And then I was like, oh crap, I've got to buy the rest. So I picked up volume 2 not long after, and I still haven't bought volume 3 or volume 5. So what we'll discuss is the series itself. I'm not going to get too much into things because I'm assuming you're going to be watching the anime and I don't want to spoil it. But we'll discuss the first episode, so if you haven't watched the first episode, might be best to come back after that, unless you don't care. It's I'm assuming it's going to be animated as well, so Goblin Slayer is one of the most hyped up ones for this anime season, and for good right. From what the first thing I was told about it was, this is the Berserk of light novels. It's not an isekai. It is a fantasy though, and it's a very Tolkien-ish fantasy. So we will go into that a little bit later on, because there is a lot of parallels to stuff like this and stuff from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings and Hobbit and Middle-earth kind of works. So this is the story of a priestess, and all of the characters are called their job titles. So priestess, elf girl, dwarven shaman, lizard priest, spear warrior, witch, and of course Goblin Slayer. And yeah, it's very interesting because they don't give names, but it also automatically means that you know the character straight away, which I thought was quite good, because for me, and I'm sure it is with a lot of people, especially if you don't speak good Japanese, a lot of the time it takes you a little bit of a while to figure out the names, unless it's something simple like where it's to be honest, it depends. A lot of the light novels like Overlord, it's like, oh yeah, Izango, Albedo, Shaltier, Coxitus, Sebas, and stuff like that. And then there's got Aqua, Darkness, Megumin, Subaru, Ram. You know, so it can be quite easy, but it depends on what you mean. I had a point there, but oh well. But anyways, Goblin Slayer, priestess. So priestess is a novice, newbie, adventurer. This is a world where people are tasked to go on to kind of like a fantasy, a MMO type thing, or to put another way, this is dark fairy tale, and this is fairy tale for adults. I know fairy tale was basically hentai at one point anyway, but yeah, this is even more adult than that. And she ends up going onto a group to slay some goblins. Now, goblins are supposed to be the easiest ones to kill, except all of her party ends up wiped out, and a lot of horrible things happen. I'm not gonna lie, this deals with a lot of stuff like rape, murder, decapitation. There is some other stuff as well that I really don't want to get into, and it's very dark. So whereas fairy tale is kind of like, oh, the big bad's gonna kill the world, she's gonna get stripped and then she'll be fine, but this is kind of like, you're gonna get stripped and raped, and so yeah, she ends up in a really bad position. However, she is saved by someone called Goblin Slayer, a man who has dedicated himself to slaying goblins because someone has to do it. Often in stuff like this, once you get out of goblins, they kind of say you go on to bigger and better things. So they're kind of like, with this, it's like, there's the Goblin Slayer is like, goblins are always, they're always an infestation. They always need to be wiped out. And I was really interested in the way they kind of portrayed that. Portrayed goblins as the vermin, the scourge of the earth. And it's very much kind of like that. And eventually along the way they do come across another bit of a party. They end up joining forces. I think at one point they need kind of like, oh well, we need a full party, and it's like, oh well, we'll get these and stuff like that. And yeah, it's very, very interesting the way they kind of do it. Now, we don't know much about Goblin Slayer. We know something horrible happened to him in his past, but he is a man who keeps to himself, and he always has this. He basically is like, well, I don't bother with really good armor because I'm just going to use any means necessary to kill these goblins. It's like some of the party members get better armor and stuff like that, but Goblin Slayer is just like, yeah, this is good enough to kill goblins. There's even one point in the second book where they go to get a new sword for him, and he's just like looking up and he's just like, yeah, I'll take this, and it's just like, yeah, you could get better stuff. Like, he's like a really high, well-respected adventurer, and he's just like, don't need it, just going to kill goblins. And it's very much, he is very direct to the point. And he's just kind of like, need this, and like the sword, and he's just like, right, I'll take this, and it's like, well, it's like this is the best you got, and it's like, yeah, and he's just like, right, I'll cut it down, and he's just like, do you not want to use it like this one? It's like, it's just for throwing. And that's basically, it's very much to the point. Now, like I said, this does cover a lot of dark material, which is something that I'm going to be interested to see how they're going to adapt that into the anime. Overall though, I really enjoyed Volume 1. Volume 2 was very much mixed. When the action scenes was really fun to read, but the rest of it just kind of felt, I was just like, is this going anywhere? And it just felt, I don't know. But I'm going to persevere. I'm going to check out Volume 3 once I've managed to pick it up and have time to read it in Volume 4. Like I said, it's very Tolkien-esque. Like I said, there is that one. there's an elf and there's a dwarf, and they have the whole Legolas Gimli kind of spiel going on. They have, like I said, they have the goblins as well. I could have sworn it was goblins in Lord of the Rings and Hobbit. It's been a long time. But then, like, the thing that topped me off is, like, I think that, like, the very end of, like, Volume 2, the last chapter was, like, there and back again. I was just like, yep. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but when I was reading, I was like, this is kind of like a dark version of Lord of the Rings, which was already pretty dark when I wanted to be. But, yeah. Are you going to enjoy this? Source material is dark. I can't guarantee it, but it's a fun read. It's not going to be everyone's taste, and I think a few people will get to it and say, because there's a lot of like rape and decapitation and stuff like that, and worse, it's very much kind of like, I think a few people will read it and then they'll just be like, no, it's not for me, and which is completely fair enough. And yeah, it's one that I feel like sometimes I was like, yeah, and there's very much a whole, I very much feels like there's it's Japan. They've always got this. There's like the whole male power fantasy thing, and like there's a character who shows up in Volume 2, who was like the hero who killed the demon lord, and then it's just like they still have her just like she's a scared little girl, and that kind of sucked me out of it. I kind of wanted to have this badass woman who was just badass as the guy in it, and it very much feels like, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to try more of it, so I probably haven't convinced anybody to read it or watch it, but for me it's one of those series that this season it is on my to watch list, along with Reincarnated as a Slime and Bunny Girl. The Bunny Girl one was surprisingly good. So yeah, there's a few good things on this season, and I probably will go into that a little bit more on another video. But for now, Goblin Slayer might not be everyone's cup of tea, but it's worth at least a read for Volume 1. And that's it from me. Thanks for coming, and thanks again for staying. Goodbye. Did you enjoy that? Well, we've got some other stuff on the site if you want to have a little bit of look. Nendoroids, gaming, One Piece merchandise, it's all kind of there. So if you click around here, you'll be able to subscribe or at least have a look on the channel. Also, there's some other things just around here. Thanks for coming and thanks again. Goodbye.